Let me ask you a dangerous question. Would you rather have $1 million in the bank today or zero point zero 0.01 worth of Bitcoin locked in cold storage? Now sounds insane, right? But because today $1 million feels like freedom. But in the future, where we're headed, that million won't buy what you think it will. See, inflation is silently eating it alive. Banks are failing, and the dollar you're working for is losing value by the second. Now, meanwhile, zero point zero 0.01 worth of Bitcoin, just a tiny slice of digital property, will hold its value forever. In fact, in the next decade, zero point zero 0.01 worth of Bitcoin could have more purchasing power than a million in fiat dollars ever will. Now stick with me because by the end of this, you'll see why the future belongs to the Bitcoin standard and why even a tiny fraction can outshine a million in paper promises. Now this video isn't about price predictions, it's about reframing wealth. Now we're all trained to measure our success in dollars. $1 million, a six-figure salary, a net worth. But here's the problem. Those numbers are fake. They're based on a currency that's melting. Now your $1 million today will buy you what $500,000 does in less than a decade. So the real question isn't how many dollars do you have, it's how much real value can you preserve across time. And that's why zero point zero 0.01 worth of Bitcoin could matter more than a million fiat dollars ever will. So let's rewind 100 years. In 1923, if you had $1,000, you were wealthy. You could buy a house, a car, and still have cash left over. But fast forward to today, well, that $1,000 barely covers a month's rent. Now project that forward. In 2033, what do you think $1 million will buy you? A luxury home, or maybe a starter condo? Because that's what fiat does. It silently robs your future. Now imagine instead you bought 1 million sats today, and 10 years from now, when fiat collapses, when everything is repriced in hard money, that tiny slice could have more real purchasing power than your $1 million bank balance today. Now, just like gold held its value through centuries of collapsing empires, Bitcoin is the digital equivalent, except harder, scarcer, and global. So, think about what's happening right now. The dollar has already lost 97% of its value since 1913. A house that cost $25,000 in 1971 now costs over $500,000, or even more. And it's not the house that changed, it's the money. Now your savings in fiat are like ice cubes in the sun. The longer you hold them, the more they melt. Every year, governments print more, debts pile higher, and your labour gets diluted without your permission. Now, Bitcoin is the opposite. It's the first money in history with absolute scarcity. Only 21 million coins will ever exist. No politician can change that. No banker can stimulate more into existence. And every 4 years, the new supply is cut in half, making it harder and harder to get. Now, meanwhile, demand keeps rising. Individuals are stacking. Corporations like MicroStrategy are hoarding. BlackRock and Wall Street are building Bitcoin ETFs, and even nations are starting to adopt it as reserve money. Now, what happens when a fixed supply collides with growing global demand? Well, you get a supply shock. The price of a scarce asset doesn't just rise, it reprices everything else around it. Now, in that future, 0.01 worth of Bitcoin isn't just a fraction, it's 1 million sats, a scarce digital slice of the hardest asset on Earth. And while $1 million in fiat will keep losing purchasing power, those 1 million sats will hold steady. Now imagine a world on a Bitcoin standard. We won't say this house costs $500,000, we'll say this house costs 500,000 sats. And here's the part that most people miss. You don't need a whole coin to win. Fractions of a Bitcoin will matter because most won't even be able to get that much. Now, there are 58 million millionaires in the world, but only 21 million Bitcoin exist. So not even every millionaire can own a single coin. So what happens when the wealthy realize this? Well, they won't fight for one full Bitcoin, they'll fight for fractions. 0.1 worth of Bitcoin, 0.01 worth of Bitcoin, and even smaller slices will become status symbols and lifeboats of wealth preservation. And the average person who hesitated, well, they'll be priced out forever. Now, right now, 0.01, a million satoshis, still costs around $1,000, give or take. But once hyper-Bitcoinization begins, once people stop thinking in fiat and start pricing everything in sats, that same 0.01 worth of Bitcoin could buy what $1 million fiat dollars can't anymore. Now, this isn't speculation, it's simple math, because fiat always dies and sound money always survives. So, ask yourself this. Would you rather cling to $1 million melting fiat dollars or hold a tiny piece of money that outlives empires? So, let's go back to that question. Would you rather hold $1 million in fiat that loses 10% of its value every year, or 0.01 worth of Bitcoin, a fraction of the hardest money ever created, scarce, borderless, incorruptible, that gains purchasing power over time? Because here's the truth. Bitcoin isn't going up. Everything else is going down. Your house, your groceries, your labour, they're not getting more expensive. Your money is just getting weaker. And in that reality, 0.01 worth of Bitcoin will matter more than $1 million fiat dollars ever could. So here's your choice. You can keep saving in a currency that's dying, or you can quietly stack the future of money while it's still cheap. Now, if this shifted your perspective, and if it's made you question what wealth really is, then go ahead and hit subscribe right now. Because here, we don't just chase hype, we build sovereignty, one sat, one block, one future-proof move at a time. Now start with 0.01 worth of Bitcoin, because one day soon, that tiny slice might feel bigger than $1 million ever could. Now, if you want to go deeper into this, my ebook Orange Pilled is linked down below, and is the wake-up call they never wanted you to read. Now, I do also have to chuck this disclaimer in here as well, and I highly suggest just pausing the video and having a little read. Now, if you've made it this far, and if you're looking for something else to watch, then click right here and have a watch of this.